Coming up, we have stories about pressure to have kids, family naming disputes, food ordering anxiety. Did you write that one, Tony Spark?
No.
Delivery driver debacles, birthday dinners gone wrong, passive-aggressive gift giving, driver's license drama, a best of Redditor update story, spicy reward story, and a cake story. Hello there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one from our very own Dusty Thunder subreddit is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Providing Any Sort of Pressure on My Husband to Have a Kid? Throwaway, hello all, this is my first time posting an AITA and seeking advice mostly. I'm a late 30s female married to a wonderful early 40s male, husband to be called Jojo. Jojo and I met when I was in my early 20s. We have always been friends first, and before we even started dating, he and I discussed kids. At the time, early 20s, I did not want to have kids, and in one regard, I wasn't financially stable, and in the other, I felt like the universe had always told me no. Jojo opened up to me and told me that his family had a genetic disorder that could impact him and he didn't want to have kids. Our relationship was and is one of the most supportive friendships and partnerships I have ever had, and every day I love him more and more. We have been married for 10 years now. We held firm to no kids until about 5 years ago when he came back from a work trip and admitted to each other that we both wanted to have a kiddo. We were in the middle of buying our first home and thought that would be our next plan after we completed the process. As per usual, the universe shouted a resounding no. Once the house was finalized, Jojo asked that we seek medical for him as he had been extremely depressed. It was something that we both had watched grow and fought with during the home process, but after the home purchase, it got bad. Once we went to the doctor asked what could have brought it on, and Jojo gave his familial medical background, including the genetic disorder, which does in fact include depression and cognitive decline. The doctor immediately referred us to a neurologist for testing. It turned out that Jojo does in fact have the genetic disorder. As soon as that happened, he turned to me and said, well, no kids. He told me that if I wanted an out, now would be the time since it was official. I told him that he was what mattered to me and that I was here for him. I love him so much. That didn't stop me from wanting kids, however. Once we got a stable place and management of the illness, I broached the topic again, bringing up options like IVF, pre-implantation testing, etc. He seemed to be on board at first, and even our mom said they would help with the cost. He was encouraging right until I scheduled a consultation, then he shut it down. This has been the situation for the past 5 years. I'll broach the topic gently just for him to shut me down. For his side of things, he says he doesn't want to have a kid that will have to take care of him or that will be held back by him. He personally didn't get to know his dad due to the same genetic disorder. No matter what I say, he won't even consider the topic anymore. It's to the point where the other day he made a joke about kids and I told him to stop doing it because I can't deal with jokes about us having kids anymore. I feel like I'm the asshole, and at this point, I wonder if I should just go to therapy and ask them to fix me because clearly I am stuck. So Reddit, what do you think? Edit to clarify, adoption, fostering, etc. were all in the cards prior. We both believe in making your own family, whether that be with or without kids. But as with the other options, that is off the table as well. Final edit, okay. I was for sure on the right track. It's a hard gear shift to go from kids are possible to kids ain't. And that's on me to get the over. 5 years is a long time, and even if I let the jokes get to me and they try to reignite some maternal feels, I need to squash it where it lives. The short is, I made a promise to him at our wedding, at the diagnosis, and every day that we are a team 1,000%. I made that call already and was just unable to realize that the option was officially DOA. Thank you all for your advice and for helping me here. Okay, maybe I should have held the final edit off till I talked about it for a minute, but what are your thoughts on this? Asking, like, okay, so it's not... It almost doesn't feel like a pressuring thing because they had talked about it before and because he was on board before. I think once the diagnosis became official, he's been a hard no on this ever since. It seems like. Let me go back up here for just a second. This has been the situation for the past 5 years. I'll broach the topic gently just for him to shut me down. Okay, so for the past 5 years, it seems like it's been consistent. Before that, there was a time whenever he was perhaps more open to the idea, but for the past 5 years, it's been a consistent no. And I think That pivot obviously lines up with when the official diagnosis happened. So at that point, I think you just have to accept that it's not in the cards, and you do have to make a decision. You have to say, is this my team? Or is my desire for a child, does it outweigh my desire to be on this team for the rest of my life? I understand his logic, not wanting to have a child that's going to have to take care of you. You have to respect that opinion, right? Broaching the topic gently for the past 5 years is different than pressuring, though, right? Yeah, I think adoption is out because it's no longer just about the child potentially having the same genetic disorder. It's about not wanting to burden a child, whether that is biologically theirs or adopted or IVF or anything, with having to take care of him when he's battling this later in life, because he went through the same thing. Not having to take care of him or not getting to know him. Yeah, it's a 2 yes, 1 no situation, right? It is a 2 yes, 1 no situation. It is different. It's not pressuring, like gently bringing it up. But I think once the precedent here was once you've got like 2 or 3 consistent no's after diagnosis, it's a no. Like bringing it back up is something that is just seeking pain. You know who I'd really like to have up here to talk about this situation is Candy Thunder. We are damn near at the 4K bulk goal.
I was telling Tony this is a story where I'm not sure, because it kind of feels like on our journey to have Navy. Like we went back and forth multiple times. Like we gave up, we tried again, we gave up, we tried again. But in my heart, I know that if we hadn't have been able to have a child, like that wouldn't have changed our relationship, I guess. But I do feel like if you think it would?
Well, I think the difference here is that if we ran into some kind of medical reason that was big enough for it to become a non-starter topic, right, that we would have bared that burden together.
Yes.
And it feels like OP's husband accepted that burden, bared that burden, but OP hasn't quite accepted it yet. It almost feels like it's a little bit of denial.
So I feel like him, and I agree, if you were diagnosed with something and that diagnosis leads to a firm, I do not want to have kids, I completely understand that. And I get that. And I understand the selfish part of having kids, knowing that that's what it looks like. However, I don't think turning to your spouse directly after receiving that diagnosis and being like, so no kids, like that's not a conversation. That's a ripping the Band-Aid off. Here's how I feel in the hospital, like, or doctor's office where we just received life-changing information for you. And then you're like, no kids. Like, to me, that would be, OP hasn't had time to mourn the loss of what she wants. Because if you can't have kids and you want kids, like, you have to grieve that loss.
Yeah.
And she kept holding out hope that she was going to have a kid, and it didn't happen. And now, like, she has to grieve. Like, she has to let that go. It
feels like he's grieving this too, but he's doing it by joking about it. That's how he's coping, right? And she can't cope that way. Like, she doesn't think about it that way. She's not able to. It's just they're grieving differently. Right. But I don't think that means that, the relationship is ruined. I think communication is a good idea here.
I think that they both need to have conversations. They need to be on the same page. Because right now she's willing, like for her edit, she's willing to accept, that she needs to support him and that kids are off the table. But I still feel like together, like that is like you said, it's like 2 yeses, like for kids.
Yeah.
And they don't have that. So therefore, if you want to stay in the relationship, you have to grieve the loss of that and come together and move forward stronger instead of making jokes about it. That may be how he grieves, but to her, it's like maybe the joking isn't coming across as serious as it needs to come across so that she completely understands that that's it. Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like she is holding out hope. They need to communicate together to move forward.
Am I the ask enough for providing any sort of pressure on my husband to have a kid? What was your ask on rating? You don't think either one of them sucks here, okay?
I just feel bad.
Candy Thunder isn't on an NTA here, and NTA for both parties. It's communication issue. And maybe it's an ask on for both because they could have done things differently, but I don't think you have the ability to do things differently until you recognize what actually is happening. First, being able to understand and recognize that you are grieving would give you the ability to communicate that. Until you know that, how do you communicate that? But therapy is a damn good way to figure out those things, to be able to spot those things and have somebody else say, well, it sounds like or looks like you're doing X. Is that what you feel is happening? Whenever you can't see them yourself. So Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with a follower-submitted cake story for you. Yeah, follower submission and cake story. It's like a double whammy. Am I the astronaut for having a dancer come out of my cake at my bachelor party? I'm getting very Friends, Danny DeVito vibes here. Did somebody call the long arm of the law? I, male 30, need some help regarding this issue that's threatening my marriage. I recently got married about a month ago to my wife, Riley, fake name, female 30. We were together for 2 years before getting married. I do love her a lot. The wedding was great. Both of our families and extended families came, and a lot of my buddies I hadn't seen since college made it out, which was great. The issue falls with what happened before the wedding, aka the bachelor party. No, I did not go to Vegas and steal Mike Tyson's tiger, although that was on the drawing board. In fact, my bachelor's party was pretty tame, in my opinion. Me and my old college buddies that were visiting for the wedding had a get-together, a few beers and some cake. My wife is upset because of the cake. To be fair, yes, the cake had a gorgeous female dancer inside of it. I'll give you a tip. The word gorgeous did not help your case. My buddies hired this girl to dance for me at my party. I had no idea that they'd do that. I'm an innocent man. There was real cake too, of course, but seeing as how I thought the lady probably wouldn't appreciate my special cake dance 2 nights before our wedding, she has some major insecurities and trust issues already, I put off telling her. I thought it would be a funny story 5 to 10 years down the line. Okay, that's not where I thought this paragraph was going. I thought he was going to say, but seeing as how I thought the lady probably wouldn't appreciate my special cake dance 2 nights before our wedding, I thought he was going to say, so I told the dancer, no, thank you. But instead, he's like, no, I just didn't. I figured I wouldn't tell her. Well, this accidentally came up when my wife and I were playing Xbox with one of my buddies. They didn't know I hadn't told her, and we were all in a party chat. He made a joke about it, and I brushed it off. So he got the hint and shut up about it, but she was already on the scent and wouldn't let it go. So I folded and told her the truth about the party later that night, and boy, did I get ripped into. So she is fuming and is telling me that she doesn't know if she'll ever be able to trust me again. I've been sleeping on the couch the past 2 nights. I get it. I know I'm in the doghouse, but I still don't think it was that big of a deal. She's barely speaking to me. She won't even cook for me. I've always heard you should get it all out before the wedding, so that's what I did. Nothing you're saying is helping you, Opie. Stop saying things. Because everything you say makes it worse. It's not like I slept with the dancer. A little dancing and a little kissing is not that big of a deal, in my opinion, and my buddies agree and have backed me up on this. Well, as long as your brozo buddies agree, I guess you're in the clear. She's pretty mad now, saying that I was unloyal, and my buddies are telling me she's being a crazy, controlling bee. So I thought outside perspective may help. Am I the astronaut for my bachelor party? And if I am, what should I do? Yeah. Chat in shock about kissing. Look, if you went to a bachelor party and your buddies hired a dancer to jump out of a cake and you let it happen without shutting it down, like that, whatever. If you're kissing the dancer, there's been an escalation here. Also, you had this justified in your mind, and just decided you weren't going to tell her. Like there was no hesitation on your part to actually go through with this and to escalate it. The only hesitation was about like how many years down the line you were going to tell her. Yeah. The general consensus here in chat is kissing is cheating. And I think that is a pivotal moment in this story. There were a couple of pivotal moments in this story. The I knew she wouldn't appreciate it, so instead of getting out of it, I just chose not to tell her about it. She's so mad she won't even cook for me. Another pivotal moment here, just escalated, made things worse. And then I've always heard you should get it all out before the wedding, so that's what I did. Even worse. There is a brozo element to this for sure, right? Is it evil, or does the brozo element of this downgrade it to an Ascon 2 because of negligence here? I don't think it does. I'm going brozo Ascon 1 here because there were several instances here where it not only got worse, but it became clear that this wasn't premeditated, but it was these were decisions. You were not a victim of this situation. I don't think you could play victim of this situation, OP. Especially when you say things like gorgeous dancer, and then I knew she wasn't going to like it, so I decided not to tell her. You've got too many turns here where you made yourself more of an asshole than the situation had warranted here, right? Like if this had just happened to you and you truly were a victim of this situation, and you did everything in your power to prevent it from happening, which would have included not getting a dance in the first place, if you felt that your partner would have an issue with it, then that would be something different. It's not. It's because you made several decisions that made it worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So I am giving you the ask on one. You might be a bit too intentional to be a brozo here, truly. But this definitely smells of brozo. So I'm going to stick with it. Brozo ask on one here. The ask on one part of this, obviously when he, hit the kissing cheating line, that obviously tilted the scales, and warrants the brozo element there too. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one is a spicy story titled, Am I the Astronaut for Not Punishing My Daughter for What She Said? My husband and I are slightly more well off than my sister's family. Because of this, my parents do more for them than they do for us. When it comes to gifts, my daughter Maddie 7 gets things from the dollar store while my nephews get whole Lego sets, iPads, and even Disney trips. If my sister needs babysitting, they will drop everything for her last minute. If I need it, I have to give them a 2 weeks heads up as well as proper payment. Because of this clear favoritism, my daughter doesn't have a good relationship with them. If you ask her about her grandparents, her mind automatically goes to my husband's parents because she forgets that she has 2 pairs. Earlier today, we had a rare meetup with my parents. My daughter asked if she could go on the trampoline outside. My dad said no, it's for my nephews. What? The trampoline is off limits because it's for the other kids. Oh, cool. My daughter begged, but dad still said no. Maddie then stomps away and says, this is why I like other grandma and grandpa more. My parents looked at me expectantly, but I didn't do anything. I recently got off a call with my mom saying that I should have told Maddie that was wrong to say. I asked her, what do you expect? She thinks y'all hate her and y'all do nothing to dispel those thoughts. She just got quiet for a bit and then said I still shouldn't let her say something like that to family and hung up. My husband is on my side, but he also isn't a fan of my family, so I need an outside opinion. Am I the astronaut? Edit. I'll read this before we chat. Edit. To make some of you feel better, we don't bring her around them often. She only sees them on holidays with the rest of our extended family. We were only visiting today to get something I was left in a will. As for babysitting, I have only asked twice in extreme emergencies, and they said no. I have talked to them about this, but they say it's not favoritism. She just needs less help because we are better off. Okay, we have an update. Before we get into that update, thoughts here. Yeah, it's definitely an NTA. The one thing at this point that bothers me, though, is that it doesn't sound like OP contested this issue until the daughter said what she said and her mom got upset. It's like, how is that the first time this is coming up? I would think, as a parent, you would bring this up well before it ever got to that point and be like, hey, why are you guys such ass bags? But that didn't happen. She talked to them after the fact. No, Goober, she's likely been treated like that herself her whole life and it isn't worth the effort. That's a good point. It could be that. It could be that this is too familiar for her. So her daughter's just getting it. But if your child's getting treated like that, I feel like it should embolden you more to take action because you know the injustice there. You understand the injustice there. Here's the update. I just got off the phone with my uncle. Apparently, Dad called him ranting about how disrespectful we are. Apparently, this all stems from my going to college. Dad said, since I had to be all hoity-toity and go to college, I shouldn't need his help and I should be living the easy life. What college did this guy go to? He also said, I'm selfish for trying to take help away from those who need it. Not sure what to think about all that. He's never brought up having a problem with that before. I'm going to discuss this with the rest of the family because with the holidays approaching, I don't want to cut everybody else out to avoid them. So I'm asking how they feel about all this. So now we have some more insight on Dad, and you know who we should get up here to talk about this? Let's do it. Let's get Candy Thunder up here to talk about this. Ladies and gentlemen, Candy Thunder once again.
Oh my God.
I didn't know that going to college made you hoity-toity.
Which either
I did not get that from my college degree.
Yeah,
Got a lot of debt and nothing I could apply to my job.
did.
Packaged up in a nice bow.
I wonder if that means that Dad went to college, and you know that's the way it was then. Like he went to college and then got job offers, and then everything was easy. Or if he didn't go to college, and his assumption about going to college is that she should be well off because she went.
That is a silly assumption because going to college does not automatically mean money.
Yeah.
It depends on what you go to college for, I guess. But if you get a marketing degree, it does not mean money. I'll tell you that for free.
And that's why there's no money.
And I'm definitely not hoity-toity. That would be, it doesn't sound like fun at all.
Yeah, I think hoity-toity might be the old school term for bougie.
Okay. NTA, obviously. But I can't ever imagine treating like our kids differently. I mean, not differently, but I can't imagine like favoring one set of grandkids over the other in order to like make a point that I don't like the fact that you went to college. Like, even is that? That doesn't even make sense. Like my brain is like, that does not compute.
And then dad's kind of approach on everything feels like it is like I only have X amount of love to give. I only have X amount of resources to focus, and I've chosen to focus 98% of those on the person who I feel like needs it more, which as a parent just isn't true. Like your amount of love to give should grow as your family grows too. So
I do know someone, we both know someone whose family treats them like this. They worked hard, they got a job that pays them very well. And so their parents only give like love and attention to the grandkids of the child who is not doing as well. Like we've seen this happen. Yeah. And the person that it's happening to, like it bothers him and it makes him.
But he's powerless.
Yeah. Like there's nothing you can do. And I don't think any amount of feedback that OP gives to her parents and like says, this is what you're doing is going to change the outlook that they have on life. It's like they almost see her as like better than them. So therefore they have nothing to offer her. They're just going to give it everything to. But that's not true because when it comes to grandkids, like it's not even about the gifts or whatever. Like in our family, like I feel like it's more about the time that they spend with them and the love that they give them. So I don't.
Well, I think at a certain point you understand that time is your most valuable and finite resource. And time equates to love much more than money does, right? So, or stuff. I mean, stuff is nice, I'm sure, but it's time means more than anything. So I think once you start being able to or willing to give that to, it's an investment. Like it's an investment of time. Anytime you're dedicating time, it is an investment in that direction, and they're willing to do it only for one set here, which is wild.
And it to me like. I think if your parent isn't giving you love, which it feels like they're not, like giving it to OP or OP's family, child included. Yeah. You always want that. Like you want to feel your parents' love. Like, and so I think going no contact and like giving up on that dream of like being loved by your parent is probably a lot harder than just saying like to go no contact. Damn. Because you know what I mean? Like it's like the same thing as the woman in the previous story, like having to give up the idea of having a baby. Like you're a big deal. You're grieving the loss of what you want your parents to be, and they can't live up to that. So you have to go no contact to like, and I feel like it should be easier for OP because she has a child. She's not just protecting herself. Right. She's protecting her child from feeling what she's feeling. But I think
you're right though. Shit. It's really easy for me to say their loss and move on. You know what I mean? It's easy for me to say that because like we've talked about before, we're very fortunate with our family compositions that we come from. Like our parents and our families aren't a mess. Like we came from stable homes and happy families and parents who we still communicate frequently with. So it's easy for me to say, yeah, it's their loss. Tell them to go themselves and move on. But I don't understand that feeling of the yearning for something.
And neither, I don't either. So I do. And honestly, that didn't like hit me until we talked about the grieving the kid thing. And then was already in my mind.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's something to keep in mind for no contact, is that I think it's much harder on the person going no contact.
The tree remembers what the axe forgets. Because even though they're the ones breaking contact, they're breaking contact because of damage that's been inflicted. It's like the tree just saying no moss.
Right.
I understand that I don't understand. I'll put it that way.
I'm just going to go for the dad for just a minute. Like, calling your child hoity-toity and saying that they're that way because they went to college and should be living an easy life is just you, Dad. Like, for not seeing that she went to college and achieved something with her life. She went to college and now she's better than you, so therefore she doesn't need you all the way.
There we go. Candy Thunder sending them all the way up to AskCon 1.
I like to send people on trips. I like to send people to
There are lots of trips to be had on the stream deck here. Lots of buttons to choose from there. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another Reddit story for you. This one from the AITA subreddit is titled, Am I the Astronaut for naming 4 of my kids' names inspired by all 4 grandparents, but not naming my 5th child for my stepmother? My husband and I have 5 children together. Our last baby was born 5 weeks ago. We chose to give our first 4 kids names inspired by their grandparents, our parents. Their names are not directly the same name as our parents, but inspired by the person. Summer for our oldest, for my mom, whose name meant summer and was a summer baby, which our daughter is also. Robin for our second, for my father-in-law. It's a play on his name, and robins are his favorite birds. Luca for our third, and my mother-in-law, who always loved that name but felt it was too similar to hers and didn't want to do that, and she loves the name for a girl. Phoenix is our 4th child for my dad, and has a nickname in common with my dad's name, and my dad always found Phoenixes cool, LOL. For our youngest, we ended up with a name inspired by my grandma and my husband's grandma. Okay. They had the same first name, sort of. Both used the same name, but one had a longer, more formal name, while the other had it as their given name, which made it easier. My grandma was the woman I saw in a motherly capacity after my mom died when I was young, so honoring her was special to me, but we wanted to give our kids their own names, hence the way we chose to honor them. The choice for our youngest child's name was a controversial with my stepmother. She and my dad met when I was 8, married when I was 12, and my mom died when I was 6, for context. She saw me as her daughter for a long time, but stopped seeing me that way mostly when she realized that I didn't return her affection in that way. Because while I like her enough, I don't regard her as my mother figure, and never even considered calling her mom. I never considered honoring her with one of my kids' names. But this has upset her, given our youngest name. Also, the fact that she has 2 kids with my father, but both are disabled and won't be having their own children, so she doesn't get to experience it like my dad did. So it's a selfish request. She told me all of this as she expressed that she feels like I was disrespectful to her and her efforts to be a mother to me. Efforts I always rejected, but she feels that I should have shown love and appreciation for in the naming of my children when all other parents were honored. Am I the astronaut? There's entitled, and then there's this. Yeah, it is still an NTA. They weren't close. I mean, if they were and they had a great relationship, cool. But if she had chosen to honor her stepmother, wouldn't her grandma have a right to be pissed? I understand she's probably not around anymore, but couldn't somebody be offended on her behalf then? Like, not everyone can be included. Not everybody can be included. It just doesn't work that way. Also, you don't have a say in what I name my children. And if what you did in an attempt to be a bonus mom was give up because you weren't receiving anything from me, then you failed in the mission to become a bonus parent. You don't give up on them just because they don't return your affections. Like you were, no. It's OP is NTA here. In my book, I understand some people may feel differently, and that's good. It's good that we see different angles here. But I see H-Bear. I understand that she's hurt. I don't understand her hurt, if that makes sense. I understand she's butthurt about the optics. She's butthurt about missing out. She's butthurt about a blow to her ego. None of those things are connected to or influence the naming of my child, right? I understand that she's hurt. I don't empathize with her. I don't agree with her being butthurt about that. And also, she can feel whatever she wants to feel, but marching her ass over to you and being like, I am truly disappointed and hurt that you did not choose to name your fifth baby after me. All the other parents were honored. Why was I left out? The fact that that's what you did with those feelings is extremely entitled. Yes, indeedly do. Indeedly do. I don't have an entitled button. We should probably create an entitled graphic here. I don't even know if this went up. Yes, it did. There we go. We get the Delulu for you. And you know, I'm giving stepmom here an ask on one because I feel like feeling what she needed to feel about it is one thing. Using that to as evidence for her to be entitled to this is a completely other. Just love the kid. The rest is noise. There you go, Miss Sniper. I never called my mother's husband dad. Yeah, like, you know, Ava doesn't call me dad. I'm Dustin. And like I would never want her to feel like I'm trying to replace her dad, right? Like, she has a dad already. I'm Dustin. And that's just who I am. She doesn't have to call you mom to be an important part of her life. Like, the title does not come with the benefits to the title. The title does not come with recognition. It's not like being elected to something. It's just a word. I think the title, I don't think the title is what you should be chasing. Let me put it that way. I think it's the relationship that you should chase. The title doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, right? Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one is a best of Reddit or update story, so you know it's going to be good and have updates. We like both of those things. Title of this one is My 28 Female Best Friend 28 Female Kissed My Husband 27 Male, and It's Destroying Me. How do I proceed? Originally posted June 28th, 2024. I, 28 Female, have been with my husband 27 Male for 6 years, married for 4 years, and we have 2 kids, 3 female, almost 1 female. Everything in our relationship is perfect for us. He's the best husband and father to our kids that I could have asked for. I am absolutely in love with him, and his actions and words have always shown me that he feels the same way. There's no better feeling than going to sleep in his arms every night. Last weekend, my husband and I had some friends over, and we were having a barbecue. We were all outside in the backyard surrounding my husband, who was on the grill. As the food got closer to being ready to eat, we all started sitting at our backyard table. Once the food was all ready and at the table, my husband went inside to use the washroom and to get another case of beer. I didn't realize that my best friend, 28 Female, had followed him. When he was coming back out, my best friend hid behind the wall separating our kitchen and living room and surprised him by pulling him in and forcing a kiss. Wait. Plot twist. She actually forced herself on him. This is different than the title I thought was going to lead us. And oh my gosh. My husband immediately pushed her back and yelled, "What the f?" She immediately started crying and ran out of the house and left. Oh, she expected something different to happen, apparently. My husband came back into the backyard and asked to speak to me privately and immediately told me what had just happened. Time out. Good on hubby for, number 1, rejecting it. Number 2, immediately going and being like, babe, we gotta talk. I was shocked and told him that it would be okay and that we could talk after everyone else left. I managed to put on appearances for the next couple of hours, but I was mentally distraught. Distraught? I'd be visibly distraught. After everyone left, my husband sat me down and told me what happened and showed me the footage from our living room camera. It was exactly as my husband had described it. My best friend of 10 years, the person who I treated as my literal sister, forcibly kissed my husband. After the 3rd date with my husband, she was the one I told I was going to marry him. She knows how much I love him and how strong our relationship is, and still she chose to try and come in the middle of it. For f***'s sake, our 3-year-old calls her auntie. My best friend tried showing up the next day just to talk, and my husband had to hold me back from beating the shit out of her, and he kicked her out and told her not to come back. It's been almost a week now, and I'm nowhere close to moving on. I don't blame my husband one bit. He's completely innocent in this, and if anything, he's the victim. I've been lying down on my husband's chest and just crying every day and night. I'm so angry and frustrated and don't know what to do. My husband has been amazing, and like always, he just gets it and understands how I'm feeling. He brought me flowers almost every day and cooked my favorite meals multiple times in the last few days. I love and appreciate him all the more for it. I just don't know how I'm going to move on and trust any of my friends again after this. Before we dive into the update, let's talk about this for a moment. Yeah, it's good that he's doing what he's doing. He's stepping up and handling what needs to handle. Hopefully the update doesn't have some kind of crazy effing plot twist where he's actually putting on a front. Like, let's just have hope for humanity for just a second, and we'll see if we can hang on to it. Yeah, green flag hubby for now. Let's hope he sticks it out. Police report, Amy. I was waiting for this. I was waiting for someone to bring that out because it is an essay, right? I mean, you have video evidence here too. And although it's your best friend and you hate to do that, I think the fact that it's your best friend is all the more reason to create a boundary that can be legally enforced. Wouldn't it be? The assumption I have for motive here is jealousy, right? Like she knows how much he means to you. She knows how much you love him. That's why she's so jealous of it. She wants that. She wants what you have. I don't think it was may not even have been specifically about your husband. I'm sure she thinks he's amazing and, he's great to you. So that looks great. But it is the feeling that you have is what she's trying to capture. She thought she was going to get it by just forcing herself on him. And then magically he'd just be like, oh, I love you instead. Let's go. Here, we'll just kick her out and we can have this house. Yeah, I don't know what she thought was going to happen, but here's the update. July 1st, 2024. After reading a lot of the comments, I realized that it was possible that my husband was having an affair with my best friend, and he knew about the camera and acted accordingly to make sure I didn't suspect an affair. No. Please, no. Please say it ain't so. Her running out of the house crying, my husband showing me the footage before I asked, and his love bombing would all make sense if he was cheating with my best friend. I can't be with a cheater, and I had to make sure my husband was loyal to me. Should we start a timer now just to see how long it takes for this thing to fall apart? On a side note, I made sure that my husband was okay and well after being forcibly kissed, and he said he was fine, and he didn't feel assaulted, and it was just a kiss. He said that he was just worried about me because he knew how much this friendship meant to me. Over the weekend, I looked through my husband's phone and laptop while he was doing yard work. Both of us had full access to each other's phones, and I didn't find anything out of the ordinary in my husband's phone. I checked his messages, WhatsApp, social media, and deleted messages folder. There was nothing suspicious on his phone or laptop. The morning after my husband left to go to work, I arranged for our next-door neighbors, a friendly elderly couple, to watch the girls for a couple of hours, and I went to my best friend's place without telling her I was coming. She works afternoon shifts, and I knew she would be there in the morning. She let me in and seemed scared, and I demanded to know the truth. She said that she had always been really attracted to my husband, and she had tried making advances before, but my husband had always just shut her down. She admitted to being jealous of me and my perfect life with my husband. I should have seen the signs earlier. When our firstborn was learning to speak, my best friend would always try to get her to call her mama. That wasn't a red flag for you, lady? When she held our daughter for the first time, she accidentally sat in my husband's lap. Come on, lady. Accidentally. While holding your baby, I snorted. It was so funny I freaking snorted because while holding your baby, she's like, oh, I'm just going to have this too. She has been trying to replace me for years, and I never noticed until my husband kept rejecting her advances because he only wanted me. She said that she had drank more than she should have at the barbecue, and she decided to try her luck when she saw my husband was going inside alone. I forced her to show me her phone as well, and again, there was nothing implying an affair, and all the messages appeared to line up with my husband's phone, so I knew there was nothing deleted or manipulated. She apologized profusely and asked me not to end our friendship over this. I told her that she's nothing to me, and she could have been happy for me, and I treated her like a sister all these years just for her to try to steal my life. Now, I know for sure that my husband never cheated. The guilt for doubting him is eating me up. If I tell him that I snooped through his phone and laptop and met up with my ex-best friend to verify that he wasn't cheating, it is going to impact our marriage, and he'll be very disappointed in me for not trusting him, and if anything, he will lose trust in me. If I don't tell him, the guilt is going to continue eating me up. I never lied or kept secrets from him before, and I don't want to start now, but this is an impossible choice. He's only ever shown me how much he loves me and cherishes me, and he doesn't deserve to be treated like this. I will update more when I tell him the truth. Oh, shit. No, there's another update. We got an update after she tells him the truth. All right, update 2. I told my husband everything, that I looked through his phone and laptop, that I confronted my ex-best friend. I showed him both Reddit posts and told him that even a few comments that speculated he was having an affair made me paranoid, and I acted on it. I apologized to him for doubting him and thanked him for always being an amazing husband and always turning down her advances and for spoiling me, especially when I was down. He said that he understands and he should have told me earlier about her trying her luck earlier. Agreed. I'm also starting therapy next week to figure out my paranoia and trust issues, process the end of my friendship, and in general, try to get into a better mental space so I can be better as an individual, wife, and mother. Relevant comments here. Well, I don't know why you suspect your husband in the first place. Just seek therapy. You need it. Best of luck for your life moving forward. Cut that shitty friend out. She is never your friend. Original OP. I am looking for therapist. She's no longer a friend. Okay. Happy ending, right? Except... OP, I feel like I hope this is just you telling yourself this, and this is not something that your husband is reinforcing or suggesting as well. But you seem to think that the doubt that you felt after this one incident is you struggling with like severe paranoia, and I don't think that's true. And hopefully nobody's gaslighting you into thinking you're crazy for doubting things. And that's why you're saying I need to go to therapy for my paranoia, because that's a natural response. Any human would experience that response. And again, what you do with it may be completely different, but any human's going to feel that. Any human's going to wonder. Any human's going to ask those questions of themselves. I don't think that is something wrong with you. You know what I mean? I do think going to therapy to process the end of this lifelong friendship with your bestie is a damn good idea. But I don't want you... I hope you don't feel like you're crazy, and I hope nobody has made you feel like you're crazy. That's my point. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one from the AITA subreddit goes like this. Am I the astronaut for leaving my girlfriend's birthday dinner because my best friend went into labor? I, 25 male, have been friends with Eva, 24 female, since I was 8 and she was 7. 2 years ago, I started dating Kara, 25 female. We have had a pretty good relationship besides her obvious disdain for my best friend for simply being a girl. Eva got married to John, 25 male, in 2022, but recently he passed in a car accident involving a drunk driver, leaving her pregnant and widowed. What the This information was presented in such a so don't be so casual about this, OP. Holy shit. Like, oh yeah, recently she got herself into like the most terrible position that you could possibly imagine. Anyway, let's get to the part where I might be the asshole. Last Saturday was my girlfriend's birthday, and the day was going by pretty smoothly, and then Eva called me. At first I ignored it, but then they kept coming in, so I excused myself to answer it, and it was Eva asking me to meet her at the hospital, and I left without telling anyone. After she gave birth, I sent my girlfriend a long paragraph telling her what happened and why I left so suddenly, but she didn't respond, so I didn't text her anymore. On Sunday, I went home to shower and to get some food before going back to the hospital. Kara picked a fight while I was getting dressed about how I picked Eva over her on her special day, and I said that we could always celebrate a different day, but right now Eva needed me more than her at the moment, as she had no one else to take care of her. Now I'm sitting in the hospital getting spam messages from her and her family calling me all kinds of nasty and distasteful things, going as far to say that I cheated on Kara with Eva. Am I the astronaut? Edit, not an update, just a few details I left out. Eva wasn't supposed to go into labor until the middle of August, which is part of the reason I left in such a hurry and didn't bother to tell anybody. Kara drove on her own because she bought herself a new car for her birthday and wanted to show off, and I'm a big man, so there's no way I'm getting into her car anytime soon. All right, before getting into the update, let's talk about this for a moment. Dude, it's okay. What loving couple? What couple, period? I don't care if you hate each other. What couple is in this position where one of them has a friend who just went into labor? What couple leaves without telling the other person? Okay. Candy Thunder's point here is someone who knows that she's going to cause a scene if he tells her. I can see that motive. I can see that motive. But still, I think when you choose not to fulfill what really is an obligation to let your partner know that you're leaving, especially when it's their birthday party, I feel like you have an obligation. And once that obligation was shirked, I think he made the choice to become an asshole. It's probably an ESH because her feelings about the friend in general obviously aren't good. There's also the question of why does Kara have no one else, or not Kara? Why does Eva have no one else? There isn't always time to say I'm headed to the ER because Mary, I get that, but if it was you and your spouse, you would, right? Like I can't imagine just running out and leaving Candy Thunder. Sure, I mean his allegiance is to his friend before it is to Eva. We know that, or Kara. Yes, Kara. We know that, and it's just he did choose her. I mean, he did choose his friend over her, and he's made it pretty clear to this point where his priorities are. It's with his friend over her. So, yeah, I mean, I understand not having a support network, but to have no one else but this one friend. And if that were the case, he probably would have been a lot more involved with the whole pregnancy, with appointments and classes and that kind of thing. I don't know. There's something else there too. Updates. Kara and I broke up.
No one saw this coming. Plot twist. In the plot twist of the century, they've broken up.
It was an extremely mutual decision and truly best for both parties. I was kind enough to let her stay in our shared apartment until she finds somewhere else to live for the time being. I'm staying with my mom, but we'll probably move in with Eva for a bit. I scrolled down thinking, is there another update? Nope, there's not. There's no more update there. Yeah, moving in with Eva for a bit. Also, the wording is a little bit funny there. I was kind enough to let her stay in our shared apartment. Okay. And to move in with Eva, I understand wanting to support your bestie. Optics aren't great. I mean, it doesn't matter. You've broken up with Kara, so it doesn't matter what she or anybody else thinks at this point. So you do you and focus on helping out your friend who obviously needs it. We may not have the whole story here. We rarely do. But if this is all legit, cool. He wanted to be with Eva all along. Yeah, it's possible.
All right. There's not an update, but there's a comment from OP, which probably gives a little more context as to why his girlfriend was very upset about it. No, Eva and I haven't had sex in about 9 years. I may be a lot of things, but a cheater isn't one of them. So there's your context of all of this.
So new question, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen of the chat jury. Exhibit A. 9 years ago, they slept together. Now they're besties. She's having a baby. It's not his, supposedly. Her husband has passed. Is this a danger zone? Question number 1 for you, ladies and gentlemen of the chat jury. Can you be besties with someone that you slept with?
So he also has a couple other comments in here basically saying that he would never date Eva. So that wasn't...
I would never date her.
I don't want to date her. I just want to help. And then he says something about she doesn't like to admit when she needs help, and it's my job to know and be there when she needs it. Eva is an incredibly sweet girl that refuses to inconvenience anyone. She doesn't have to. He also says that basically protecting her and filling the spot of her husband like he intends to.
Wow. So I'd say it's probably like a 75-25 split in chat with people saying, yes, you can be besties with someone that you've slept with. Yeah, David and Stevie. That's a good example, but... Oh, okay. David and Stevie is a great example. Yes, but you have to respect your partner. I would assume you'd have to respect your partner enough to tell them and to be okay with them not being okay with it. I don't know.
I got some more juicy comments here. He says she's always talking about Kara.
Kara.
She's always been quite insecure, and it's gotten worse with the fact that I don't accommodate every little thing that might make her insecure. Like, honestly, I don't care that you're threatened by how good Eva looks in her swimsuit. I don't care that she feels threatened that we have more in common. I don't care that she doesn't like Eva that I've hooked up before.
So it's recurring. The common denominator here is I don't care. So yeah, I think, yeah. And again, like we led up to that moment, he accepted this risk whenever he had this strong of a BFF relationship with her. It could be more than that. It absolutely could be, but it might just be BFFs too. And he's accepted the risk of it ruining relationships and being okay with it. You're inviting a lot of relationship trouble, or just accepting a life with fewer. There's a larger degree of difficulty involved with relationships, and I would say, yeah. How did they make it a year? Yeah, and even I would say even. So the question, am I the astronaut for leaving my girlfriend's birthday dinner because my best friend went into labor? I think he definitely should have done this different. I'm 3 on it. Should have done it different. Now the whole situation and how he decided he didn't care. I think if you are in a position where you've decided to be besties with someone that you've had a relationship, even if it's just physical, before with, I think there's an obligation to let the person that you're in a relationship with know up front, probably pretty early on, and make sure that they accept that up front before, like, do not pass go, do not collect $200. We need to have this conversation first, because if you're not okay with this, we need to know that now, rather than 6 months, a year, 6 years down the road, when it's going to hurt a lot more when you react to that. So accept this now or don't, but this is a fork in the road. But if you don't communicate that and you take the come what may route and let it roll and then let them find out much later on, I think you're inviting a hell of a lot of trouble and a hell of a lot of pain for not just you, but other people. Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content, and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.